everybody, glad to have you here for this little chat about a couple of palettes from Neutrogena. Neutrogena is a makeup brand that's always on my radar because they have done so many things that I've really liked. The first thing that pops into my head are the lip products. You know, I love the Moisture Smooth Color Sticks. They've got awesome tinted lip balms, lip glosses. I've enjoyed a lot from their Hydro Boost line. Today I'm wearing the foundation. They've got a good concealer. Even the mascara is good. They've also put out some really nice eyeshadow quads as well. So when I was just meandering through Ulta's website one day, when I saw these, I thought, yep, I'm snatching those up. I want to see what those are made of. So it's the Neutrogena Essential Cheek Palette and Essential Eye Palette, and their term is that these are curated by Kerry Washington. I love Kerry Washington. I think she's great. So it's a brand I like, a person I like, and I'm always up for a palette, so let's dig in. Style of this video is going to be kind of a talk through, try it on, and review it as I go. This is not a first impressions video because I've been using these for a couple of weeks now. It's going to be kind of an apply and discuss type thing. So here we go. Let's do it. Okay, guys, I'm first going to take you through the cheek palette. It says Essential Cheek Palette there, and the packaging is pretty standard as far as like small palettes go. You probably have some things that are sort of sized this way. It says Love Kerry. It's got her signature right there. And then you open it up, you do have a mirror inside, and here's your 3 pans of product. The names are Grateful, Captivating, and Elegant, and it says inspired by your natural beauty, this essential cheek palette was curated by Kerry Washington to be your beauty must-have. What we have here with the bronzer and blush are 2 matte colors, and then this shade here is like a barely there shimmer, and it really, I really struggle to make that show up at all on my skin. You know, there are some highlighters that are just so subtle, but yet it is a somewhat effective glow. You know, I'm thinking of the Essence Pure Nude highlight. It's a really subtle highlight, but yet I don't feel like I struggle with the product. It's not a lack of pigmentation issue. Here, I feel like this one, you know, I swatch it, yes, I can see some color there, but I'd say it's a little bit on the chalky side. It's light, but it's not especially brightening. It's not giving a beautiful sheen to my skin. So I was kind of surprised that they went that route with that product. Also, just in terms of color selection here, this is a pretty light bronzer actually, but I'm guessing since Kerry Washington was in on the selection of these shades, this was determined to be suitable, I suppose, like for her. But I am just a little surprised by that because this is a pretty light bronzer. I can make it show up on my skin, but you know, I'm just a small fraction of the skin tones out there. The blush is the definite strong point of this whole palette. It's bold. It's kind of this bright coral color. I think it's perfect for the season. I've really enjoyed using it. I find a little bit goes a long way. So don't be led astray if you feel like, gosh, I really kind of had to build up the bronzer and the highlight doesn't show much, but the blush is like, woo! So I'm going to try these products on for you and just kind of talk my way through the way I would do it. I use my e.l.f. complexion brush with so many bronzers, and let me adjust my mirror here. I take this around my hairline. This is kind of a warm bronzer. You know how some verge on a little bit cool, shadowy contour type shades? This one is soft and warm, definitely on the lighter end in terms of like bronzers that I have in my collection. Not going to be as dark as like a Bahama Mama bronzer from the Balm, you know, or even a Too Faced Chocolate Soleil. If I were to do a little bit of a soft like contour with this, you know, here's the look you come out with. It's sort of there. It's just pretty light. If you do have a richer skin tone similar to Kerry Washington's, I mean, I would love to know if you've tried this, like, how did it go for you? I always take a bronzer down the neck and kind of along the jawline. So yeah, it's a very soft, very natural matte bronzer. Now, allow me to show you the blush. This, you're just gonna wanna tap in. It picks up a lot of product, your brush will, as soon as you go into it. Tap off the excess. Color is immediately there. It's just a beautiful springy flush, but you do have to be really careful with it. I'm gonna actually tap it on my hand first because I kind of feel like I overdid it a bit on that cheek. But for the intensity of the blush shade, I feel like, you know, fairer skin tones could be careful with it. Deeper skin tones could really see it showing up as well. So I think that was a well-chosen shade. But it is tough with these palettes for the face because, you know, you put out one sort of universal palette. Is it really gonna work for everyone? So this highlight, it picks up nicely on the brush. Like it's not an issue of I can't get enough product or it's too too hard or something like that. But it just doesn't show a whole lot in a highlighter perspective. It's just not super glowy, but I'm really building it up here. I'm trying to show you what the maximum might be that this can do. And I am getting a little, like I can see it there on my monitor, I'm getting a little right in here. But I am applying quite a bit of product. Where I was trying to just barely use any of that, I'm trying to use a lot of this. It's really not a bad finished look overall. Like all these products together, for my skin tone, I felt worked pretty well. You know, the bronzer was a subtle bronzer. I did like the blush. The highlight, you really got to lay it on to see it at all. I think there are much more impressive highlighters out there. They're going to charge $10 for this, which I don't think is ridiculous, but I'm just not seeing it as a huge game changer. If that highlight was absolutely knocking it out of the park gorgeous, I'm not saying it has to be the most reflective, brightest highlight on the block, but if it was just really beautiful looking on the cheeks, I might have a slightly different opinion about this because I do find the bronzer usable and I like the blush. But the highlight, I feel like I am applying a lot of powder to my skin in order to just get a little sheen, and so that's a little disappointing. Now here's what we have for the eye palette. It is the exact same size as the other palette. We just have black detailing instead here on the outside. It says Essential Eye Palette, and they claim to be giving you 5 versatile, blendable, and buildable shades. Now I really do like the Neutrogena eyeshadows that are packaged. Hold on, please. The ones that are like this, the Nourishing Long Wear eyeshadows, I think these are really good. So I definitely was willing and kind of excited to try this palette, even though the shade selection seems so super basic, like cool, brownish taupes, okay. And I do think the feel of these shadows seems consistent with the feel of the others. They're soft, but not too soft. When you stick a brush in them, they're not like going every which way. I find them to be pretty easy to control. And in terms of finishes, I think we've got a matte here. We've got a mostly matte, like a 98% matte here with just the teeniest bit of sheen. Sometimes in a swatch when I shear it out, I can see just that little sheen. I would call it a barely there sheen in this shade as well. And then these two have just a little more shimmer going on. This is more bronzy. This has just that hint of like kind of rose gold warmth happening. So this to me is the one shade in the palette that does have the potential to warm things up a little bit, but it's not a crazy warm palette. I would say overall the looks that I achieve with this are on the cool side, and it has probably been the palette recently that I've used and thought, I kind of like cool tone looks on my eyes. You know, I can go either way, but I wouldn't necessarily put it in my head to have a really dramatic, different, off the wall, like out of control, bold look. I'd say, you know, think office friendly, think big presentation, think just generally speaking, I don't want to be too distracting with my eye look. We're talking basic here, basic. Now I mentioned this color right here. This is sometimes my initial like instinct to grab for that and put it in my crease. It does have a little bit of sheen to it, and I think that makes the color just a bit light for the crease for me. So I think today I'm going to actually take some of this deeper bronzy shade. Despite having the bit of shimmer, just the depth in this shade makes it work really well as a quick crease color here. And any shades that do have shimmer, keep in mind, it's really a soft shimmer. Nothing's like screaming at you metallic. Okay, so we get our crease going very easily with that. Then I sometimes like to take a little bit of this shade that I would say has just a hint of rosy taupe to it. And sometimes I'll take that a little bit on the outer edge, and don't worry, I'll blend. I just think this is a nice kind of softener shade. And then I take a fluffy bare brush. Let's go over the edges. And then this matte shade, which works really well. I think it's nicely pigmented. It really shows. Just take that under the brow, and that can also function to finish the edge of what you did in the crease there. Now, the world is our oyster in terms of what we want to do on the lid. We could go kind of light and brightened if we want to. I think I am going to use a little bit of this light shade right in here. I'm kind of thinking work look, like we're going to the office. We got a big meeting. Let's keep it professional. I'm gonna again pull in that first shade that I put in my crease, but I'm gonna pat that on the lid. Everywhere basically where I didn't just put that lighter color. I'm gonna take that same color and also smudge it gently on the lower lash line, and this gives us that undetectable definition. A color of this depth, you know, it's not too light, not too dark. When you sort of add that as a little smudged out liner on the lower lash line. It's like nobody can really put their finger on what they're seeing there because it just doesn't look made up. But you've given your eye just a little more definition. And then I would put a light liner on my lower inner rim. I would put on a little liner and mascara, and boom, I would say this is easy, subtle, work-appropriate makeup. But let's add a little twist to that now. We're transitioning to nighttime. This shade right down here, it's not a straight up brown. I do believe there's maybe a little bit of plum in this. And so I'm gonna take a small brush. This is my MUA 315 brush, the one that I reach for very often for, you know, outer corner crease stuff. And I'm taking that shade and I'm just applying it right here to my outer corner, deepening up the look. I'm sticking the brush right there in the corner. I'm doing small circular motions, and I'm just being careful not to drop that shape down too low. Otherwise we get kind of a droopy look. So we want to keep it going, kind of pointing upward, sort of in the direction of the outer tip of the brow. And I mean, these shades are easy to work with. I'm not struggling to manage any of them. I'm not feeling like I really have to be ultra careful. And another thing you can do is just grab some of that with your flat brush and sort of pack it a little bit on the outer part of your lid as well. It kind of helps it just work into the look a bit better. And if you feel like you need to blend anymore, go for it. Maybe take a little bit of that rich color and now bump it up a bit on the lower lash line with that. We did not use this shade, which is very cool. This soft brown has a little bit of sheen. It can be nice on the lid. If you do use it in the crease, it's very light. It can work, and I actually did come away kind of liking my finished look when I did it, but I did find myself pulling in one of these two darker shades just to kind of deepen a bit more. But it's a natural eye palette. It's an everyday eye palette, and while I'm sitting here saying, you know, it's nice quality, it's easy to use, these are user-friendly shades, I think you need to think back to your own collection and think, okay, do I already have these colors all over the place right now? Because that would be one potential con with this, is that the shades are very, very common. If you own a lot of natural neutral palettes, you might just look through, and if you like the look I did today, say, do I have a dark bronze? Do I have a really dark plum? Do I have sort of this dirty rose gold color? Just a classic kind of light taupe and then a cream? If you're finding those tones within other palettes, then this is not really an essential purchase. But maybe you don't have a lot of eyeshadows and this is the exact look you're going for. You're wanting to steer clear of a lot of really orangey shades. This is a very approachable and easy to use palette, I must say. All right, guys, so here is my finished look. I used black liquid liner, as I said, across the upper lash line, gave it a little wing. In the spirit of Neutrogena today, I used my Hydro Boost mascara, which I love. On my lips, I popped on something new that I'm trying. It's the Grande Lips Plumping Liquid Lipstick in the shade Smoked Sherry. I got this in a little sampler from Sephora. And yeah, on top of it all, wearing, you know, both of these palettes from the Kerry Washington collection, we'll call it. Overall, kind of contrary to my initial reaction seeing these online, I thought this would be the thing that definitely worked for me, and this was the thing that I thought looked honestly kind of boring, and I really just didn't think I'd love it. But it was sort of, I guess, a little bit the other way around in that I was only really partially wowed by this palette. I thought the most fantastic thing was the blush, and in something like this where there's 3 colors, only really feeling attached to one of the shades kind of makes it a no-go for me. But the eye palette, I feel like it's given me some really pretty, really wearable looks. I found it so just easy to grab for. The colors are easy to blend. If you're sort of a shadow beginner, I don't think you'll be intimidated by this at all, because even the darkest shade is super easy to work into your look. And they're still quality shadows. It's just, you know, there are some palettes where it's like, only get the tiniest bit on your brush or else you're gonna be in a real mess. It's not like that. And I think it's really because the tones were selected in such a way to be very, very user-friendly and just create looks that are the kinds of things you could wear on a daily basis for absolutely any occasion. You can go a little bit cooler than I did today if you leave out this center shade, but there's most definitely nothing super warm in that palette. And the cost, while this is $9.99, the eye palette is actually $12.99. 5 colors at $12.99, kind of pushing it for me. But you buy things at Ulta, I mean, you look for a deal on Neutrogena where it's buy one, get one 50% off, that can help. But yeah, those are my thoughts on these palettes. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video helped you out, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.